Right, hello everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. I know it's been a while and I know I'm always saying that at the start of my videos because I'm probably the most inconsistent YouTuber ever. I don't even know if I'd count myself as a YouTuber at this point because I make like 0 videos. I don't think I've made a video in about 6 months or so. Anyway, I'm just going to warn you before I get into the main video, I haven't written down anything related to this video idea, apart from the list ranking of all the movies that are going to be mentioned in a second. But usually before every video, I have maybe like 1 or 2 things at least critiquing or talking about things that I like about certain things. However, for this video, I don't have that. I'm just going to be going totally off of my head. So if I start waffling, I do apologise. So anyway, Edgar Wright. Who is Edgar Wright? Edgar Wright is probably my favourite director of all time. You may think that's a bit of a push, and it probably is to some of you. You might be thinking Martin Scorsese, Stanley Kubrick, Quentin Tarantino. My personal favourite is Edgar Wright. I just think he has a really unique style that not many people have the courage to even attempt to do. That's not me trying to say that he's the most experimental filmmaker of all time. I do also just quickly want to say that I believe everything that is on this list, I believe varies from good to amazing. I don't think he has ever released anything mediocre, let alone even bad. And also, Fistful of Fingers is not on this list. I apologise. Now, this may fall under people's radar a little bit due to its very small minority amount of fans that actually know about this. I believe this was made when he was just a college student and he just got a bunch of his friends around and a VHS camera. I'm genuinely confused to why this is so good for what it really is. I genuinely do not think any money went into this at all, and it looks like it, don't get me wrong. Even though it's only like 40 minutes, it really does feel quite fleshed out. It's his first cop movie, which not many people know about. I think you can go onto the Hot Fuzz Blu-ray and you can find it in the extras, if I remember correctly. I'm going to be honest, if it was longer and it had a bit higher budget, I genuinely think this would be higher up on the list. It really goes to show it's not all about having the right equipment and the money. It is genuinely just about having the right idea. And 99% of the time, Edgar Wright has that idea on lock. In ways, I do think this is one of Edgar Wright's funniest films, just for the constant fourth wall breaks that happen throughout it, that genuinely do get me laughing out loud at multiple points throughout this. Right, the Sparks brothers, I'm going to be completely honest, I didn't even know who the Sparks were before even watching this documentary. It may not feel entirely like an Edgar Wright film. It does still feel like Edgar Wright had some involvement with it, but I think he was limited due to the fact it was only a documentary. But it really does document the story of these two brothers extremely well. I actually started to get a little bit into them after I watched this documentary, mainly the first like 3-4 albums or so. I haven't really checked past that point, but they're actually very interesting people, I'm not going to lie. I wasn't entirely sure going into this. I thought, I'm going to be bored out of my mind. I have no clue who people are. But I genuinely wasn't. I think it's a good placement for now, where it is. So the trailer for this dropped in around May or so, and because I was a massive Edgar Wright fan because of previous films, I was geeking out to hell on this. I was telling every single person, I was telling my film studies teacher, I was telling my girlfriend at the time, gotta go see this, gotta go see this. I don't think I'll ever be as excited for a film as I was for this one. Anyway, as you could probably tell, I wanted to go see it on opening day, earliest time possible. However, I came to realise that at that point, I was only 14 years old, and my birthday was in August time. I turned 15 in August. It was all looking good. It didn't have any age rating on it yet. Until the week after my birthday, I realised it was an 18. Clever Clogs me came up with the clever idea to book tickets to go see Venom 2 and then sneak into Last Night in Soho so me and my friend could watch it. I didn't want to do it by myself because I was a little scaredy cat. And we got into the screening. We did it. We got into the screening. We sat down at the front. The trailers were about to start playing and somebody comes right up to the front and I couldn't go see Last Night in Soho and ended up seeing Venom Let There Be Carnage instead. Do you know how depressing that bloody is? It was horrible. Anyway, some time passed and I finally got to watch it, and it did sort of live up to its hype. I loved it when it first came out. I think I even gave it a 10 out of 10 rating on IMDb. It's still very, very, very good. Stylistically, this thing's just brilliant. Anya Taylor-Joy is, as always, bloody fucking awesome in this film. I swear to God, everything that she's in, she makes 1000% better. And I surprisingly found Matt Smith to be really good in this as well. Kind of heartbreaking to see where he went after this film when he did Morbius. Like I said, there's really not many things wrong with this movie. From a technical standpoint, it's bloody brilliant. I think the story's a bit weak in some areas. I thought the twist at the end was a little bit predictable. I still think it's very good, and I do really enjoy it. I do just kind of think that the twist ruins the movie a little bit because it is very predictable. So, of course, The World's End is the concluding chapter of the Cornetto trilogy, and even though it's probably the weakest entry in the Cornetto trilogy, that does not mean at all it is bad. It's still better than 95% of films that come out now. I do just think he's had a very solid filmography, that this is just bang in the centre. I think The World's End has got the quotable lines in it. It's got everything that you want from a Cornetto trilogy movie. I'm going to be completely honest with you, I don't usually like Martin Freeman, but in this, I do think he's bloody hilarious. I do think he's a brilliant character. And it's cool seeing Pierce Brosnan in it as well. He is a great character in this. I do just think that, again, the end does lack in some ways. I think the previous two entries in the Cornetto trilogy end a lot better. But it's still awesome. I still love it. I think the pacing throughout is great. It feels like it just flies by, like most of Edgar Wright's films, to be completely honest. I just think that anybody can enjoy this movie. I don't know a single person who would dislike this. Now, don't get me wrong, I think Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is a brilliant film. It's so enjoyable. It's so unique. I'd say this is probably the most out there film, in a way, especially stylistic choices that are in it, making it really jump into the video game elements. But for me personally, I do find this film a little bit forgettable. I like that he tried to change it up. It was his first, if I'm pretty sure it was his first entirely American movie. He didn't have any British actors on this one. You can't really find many ways to knock this film. It's just, I do prefer his other movies over this, but this is still fucking awesome. I love Baby Driver. I think this was probably the first movie that I was kind of gobsmacked by. I like the fact that it's kind of like an action movie musical. Every sound effect is synced with the music. The score to this film is brilliant. It's so good. But in ways, I will say that Baby Driver is the film that kind of got me to appreciate films. I can see why people would say this is his best film. I'd say from a technical standpoint, it actually is his best film. I'm kind of lost for words when talking about this film. But if you haven't watched Baby Driver, watch it. I believe that anybody can enjoy that film. Now, I wasn't expecting this to be so high on the list, but it seems like it is. Hot Fuzz. I like how it does the classic British tradition of basically taking the piss out of itself. I just love how this film is such a stupid idea, but works just so well. It shouldn't work this well. Simon Pegg and Nick Frost in this movie are just so fucking good. Especially, I'm going to be honest, I think Nick Frost is probably the best in this film. This is probably one of the most quotable movies of all time. I could probably name like 5 off the top of my head. The pacing is perfect. The score is brilliant. Visually, it's great. The editing's awesome. The casting's awesome. I have this as a 4.5 on Letterboxd, but I think I'm going to end up actually signing up to a 5 out of 5. Shaun of the Dead is probably my favourite movie of all time. It's been my favourite film for about 8 years now. I can't think of anything that even comes close to beating that #1 spot. It's got everything that I love about films. To me, it's perfect in every single way. I think the casting is perfect. It's so on point. Every character is built to perfection. It's got some of the best dialogue ever in it. It's, if not more quotable than Hot Fuzz. There's a lot of stuff from this film I say on a day-to-day basis. This film has just had a massive impact on not even just the way I see films, but just my life in general. My whole family loves this film. Everybody who knows me knows that I adore this film to bits. I wouldn't change a single thing about it. I think it's like 94 minutes, and yet it still feels like half an hour. It flies by. I've probably watched this at least 100 times, and I could watch it another 500 times and I wouldn't get sick of it. You can really tell it's made by somebody who loves movies, because the amount of references that are in this film are ridiculous. I ain't going to be able to catch them all. It's such a brilliant film. There was a video that I watched the other day where it described the underlying themes of this film in a really clever way. I'm not good with that sort of stuff. I just say what I think of films and whether I enjoy them or not. I'll leave a link to that video in the description if you want to check it out, but it's definitely worth watching. If you haven't watched Shaun of the Dead, you need to go watch it right now. It's such an amazing movie that only gets better the more you watch it. But anyway, that was my video on ranking all of Edgar Wright's filmography from worst to best. Let me know in the comments what your ranking is. Tell me if I'm talking shit. I probably am, but that's just my personal opinion. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and maybe I might make another one soon. Who knows? See you all later.